All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. And this will be the last instructional segment for this segment of the program for these next 2 weeks. And we're going to start future pacing a little bit, to where we're going to take this. Because, man, you keep talking about how you want to take it to like this professional level. And one of the aspects of being at that level is, when you're doing the wake-induced lucid dreams, where you're going directly from the waking state into the lucid dreaming state, we're going to be instructing how to do that and get out into the same place, right? Go to the same location, enter the same environment within the dream every time you do that. And so,
right.
And that's a very unique concept for lucid dreaming as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I haven't found any other literature that talks about that at all. But at the places where we've touched on it in the program, you guys can see that that's a profound idea, starting out from that place of strength and familiarity to go into whatever it is you're there to work on or experience. But I like, so I'm going to just let you take it away, what we're going to be doing for this part of the program to start to future pace that, start to put that idea in our heads and start to figure out where we want that spot to be.
Right. And it's not to confuse people or overwhelm them. It's just, again, like it's something that we're constantly planting these little seeds, and they're all like, they're in this big wide funnel, right? But everything's going toward that, lucid state. So how to get in there, how to be in a good place, and then how to, build it out more and more as time goes on, right? So,
right. And the other thing would be, I would say, like, for people to not feel like, oh my gosh, like I haven't even had a lucid dream yet, and they're talking about getting out into the same spot. It's like, no. It much like we're doing the mind mapping to review our dreams, right? To put more emotional energy into dreaming and attention onto it, and to build up the value that we put on it and the likelihood of that dream occurring. We're doing the same thing here. It's not like, next week we're going into wake induced technique and you need to be ready to get out in your spot and meet Brian in the field. It's like, no.
No. It's prepping the foundation for that later on. If we do it all at once, well, then we're wasting time, kind of. So, there's some of these things that are just so easy to do, why not do them, now, and sort of have time to sort of integrate them in some way. So we've talked about dream signs, and this is sort of like an augmentation on that a little bit. It's just that you're going to actually make a dream sign, and the dream sign you're going to make now is, some area, whether it's your home or outside of your home or someplace that you've actually physically been, right? That will become your jumping off point, your platform, to get to, when you have more control of being lucid in your dreams, right? So, and it's really simple technique, right? Like I'll just use my example. Like, I had one prior that was a small deck that was outside the house that I lived in before I lived in this one, and I planted 2 cedar trees, like posts in a field almost, and so that was my place to kind of get out, as if I was walking through a gate, right? So I would, always look at those and just imagine myself, being lucid and walking through those, even to the point of like, standing in front of them, sort of looking at them with squinted eyes. So it was just sort of blurry and blotchy and whatever. And then just slowly opening my eyes and, maybe just walking through without being clear, and, feeling the ground on my feet, feeling the sun on my body, feeling the wind or any sounds of the bird, incorporating all those senses in there, just maybe not making my vision so clear. And then when I would pass through those, I would open my, I'd be like, I'm dreaming, I'm lucid, and I'd open my eyes wide and see, like all the details and everything rich, right? And still sort of incorporating all those other senses. So it's the same type of thing. We don't have to go that far yet, but the idea is you want to pick a place. And so it becomes like an induced dream sign, right? It's not something you're looking randomly in your dreams for. It's someplace that you're going to cultivate, right? So at this place, I use my deck, the front deck of my house, and I stand there and I have my hand on the railing and I look out over this field that's in front of my house. And you know, I usually imagine it as I've seen it many times with just a light wind blowing and, you know, the tall grasses moving back and forth and whatever bird sounds are around or crickets or whatever. Again, I like to get out in a nice sunny territory since we have a long winter here. So it's like, you know, usually I get out in the summer. And so, how do I do that? Well, I spend some time being in that place, obviously, and sort of commit that to memory. Anytime there's that view, I get out there and I spend a few minutes just really reaffirming that all of the senses that are there, right? I feel the deck under my feet, my hand on the railing, the texture of that, and looking at the grasses and any place my eye might catch my attention and try to zero in on that. But, you know, what do I do in the times when it's winter and I'm not out there? Well, when it's like that on those days, I'll take my phone out and I'll snap a few pictures of the different, you know, areas of the field, you know, from the railing, basically, of the deck. And so, and then I utilize that, you know, as my dream sign. So it's like anytime I'm doing, you know, my reality checks in the day, right? If I'm going to use that technique, then you know, am I dreaming? And I'll look at the picture, you know, look away. Am I dreaming? And I look back, is it the same picture? You know, so just any little way that I can get that to be something that my subconscious, my mind, you know, takes as an important place, right? And so, and, you know, then you can, one of the mnemonics that inductions that you do at night could be, you know, the next time I'm dreaming, I'll recognize I'm dreaming and I'll be in my field, or I'll be on my deck, or I'll be in the room in the kitchen, or wherever your place would be that would be comfortable for you to get out and is very common for you. I wouldn't use a place that you don't know, right? Like you might see a really pretty picture or something, you know, that you might want to try to get into that or make that it. You know, you should do something that you're familiar with, right? Because even though it's pretty and it's a nice place and it might, you know, it would be obviously a decent place to go to, but you want to build it so that it's common for you. And usually, you know, when we start working on stability, you don't want to have, you know, a landscape that's unstable, right? While you're trying to work on your own stability. It's too many factors. It makes it too difficult. So you always want to go from a place of strength, right? Always start from the same place initially. So that way, when you get out, it's like, oh, okay, you know, I know where I am. I know where everything is. I know where to go. I know what to do. And you can take off from there. So it's really sort of getting into that stable place makes it, you know, much more comfortable later to do other work past that point. And I utilize that all the time. So, and that doesn't mean that when I just trip into a lucid dream, you know, from a sleeping state, that I'm in exactly that place. No, but anything that I'm trying to induce, any kind of work that I'm doing for myself or work that I'm doing for others, I always start out in that place, you know, because that's my base, right? That's the place where I'm most comfortable and strongest. So I always start from that place.
Nice. And so for these couple weeks, and this is, you know, people may even choose to put this off until we get to that stage where we're talking more about that. But I just feel like it was a really good optional thing to just put more energy into it, into future pace in our own minds about where we want to go with this and how cool it's going to be when we can do that. You know?
Yeah, and you might want to just look around right now and say like, oh, if I was going to get out, what would be the most comfortable place for me to get out? I have people that get out and they're like in their comfy chair in the living room or whatever, you know, that's a very comforting and safe place for them, right? They have the texture down, they know what it feels like on their body. They have control of the surroundings, you know, so it's like, and that's fine. Other people, would like to be outside their home or in a different room in their home. And, it really just depends on the person, right? So where do you feel in your local vicinity, is going to be a good place for you to, actually move to each time, right? Something you can get to on a fairly regular basis, if it's for the physical locale, right? So let's say somebody has a vacation home or a camp somewhere, right? A favorite camping spot. That's fine if you can get to it on a fairly regular basis, just to sort of confirm that that's a place that you've been a number of times, and snap a few pictures of it at its best state, or when you're there for camping or vacationing or whatever. That's fine. It doesn't have to be exactly your home, but I've always found that this was very common and comfortable for me to get out and be in this place. So it was just easy to build that way.
Right. And has that interesting crossover that you were talking about before, that like when you start to lucid dream in the same place over and over again, especially if it's your home or near your home or somewhere that you visit regularly, it's like every time that you're in that spot physically, it's then associated mentally and emotionally with the experiences that you've had in that place in a lucid dream. So there, by establishing this place, it's kind of like we create this like anchor, right? Or
Yeah,
bridge
that's
between
exactly
these
it.
places. So it's like, okay, I'm having these great high emotional heightened experiences in the lucid dream, and in some ways this place is starting to feel more like that as well.
Right.
That's a
Exactly.
very cool idea. So
It's a nice way to cross it over. And again, it's a prime place to do your reality checks too, right? So, it's like you ask because if you've gotten out and you've been there before, right? You're, in a lucid dream and you've done that a few times. It's like you go back to that place, just like you said, if I'm standing in my field or on my deck, I'm asking myself, am I dreaming? And then I'm doing my reality check, because it's really easy to get into that routine as well, right? So usually, in the beginning, I would constantly do the reality check, even if I knew I was lucid in a dream. I would do something like I would hop the railing, or I would, whatever. It's like, instead of walking between those two cedar trees, I would float through them or something like that. Just something really quick and easy, just to sort of cement that idea in my head that it was there. But when you go back and you work with those physical location, right? It's like when you ask yourself those questions, you can do, you're just going to sort of focus in. It's a really good idea that when you ask yourself that question, to really focus in on a detailed aspect of the environment. So like I might, touch, the leaves on that cedar tree. It's like, I might find something in the grass that's really, interesting to me, or, be a little bit more detailed about the ground, whatever. I try to keep myself really focused just for a few seconds, right? So I'm really checking it out. And that attitude comes through in the dream too, that, like maybe you missed the mnemonic, in a dream, but all of a sudden something catches your attention and you get really focused and detail oriented on it. Well, focusing on the detail will cause you to become lucid, right? It's like, it's that focus that actually dispels the watery sort of nature of dreams to begin with, right? So they become less nebulous. Something crystallizes when you do that. And we'll go into more of that when we do the wake-induced lucid dreams, right? But for this, it can serve the same purpose. So, when we tag a place that's local to us and feels very comforting to us, uh, when we're in there in the physical, then, doing your reality checks there and really focusing in on something, again, just a few seconds. It doesn't take any time. And then, but that idea, that whole process will transfer through into a regular dream too. And that could be the thing that wakes you up. It's like your attention to detail could actually be the dream sign. So It's just a nice way to sort of, you see how we're just compounding all these things together. It's not to confuse. It's just to say there are lots of ways that can trigger your mind to go into realizing that you're in a lucid dream at this point. So,
cool. And
yeah.
so just for this, though, the simplicity of choosing that spot.
Choose the spot. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I got a place.
You got a what?
I got a place in mind.
There you go.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for for this couple weeks worth of practices. And
Plenty of that.
I don't think that it's too overwhelming, too many new things. We're kind of just building on things that we've done before and adding in a few techniques that will really help to enhance the likelihood of having a lucid dream.
Right. Right. And then the induction techniques, which is the big one for this next 2 weeks.
Right.
Sort of getting that down. Not too complicated. You know, that's the idea. Just get the routine down and just start adding them in. And you're just piling in more and more attention, more awareness on the dream state. And that's going to start producing fruit. If it hasn't already, it will start producing more fruit. So, and then we'll go from there.
Cool. So just to do a quick review, so we're going to start using the mind mapping technique with our dreams that we've recorded and imbibing, looking at that mind map and kind of building it out throughout the weeks. And then modifying the lucid dream meditation to incorporate that sense of smell with an essential oil at that moment that we become lucid. And when we practice the lucid dream meditation, again, we want to get in over the next couple of weeks, probably about 7 iterations of doing that, right? So maybe times one week, 4 times another week, if you can make it, right? So, but the idea is like, so we're going to start to build on that later. And at this point, we really want to start to make that association. And then we're using the mnemonic induction of lucid dreams every night when we go to sleep with that relaxation. And then we're going to choose 2 nights each week to do a wake back to bed technique, and really increase the likelihood that we'll have that experience. So I think that should be a pretty full couple of weeks.
It'll be a full couple of weeks. I'll be expecting to get some wows, you know, typed in and sent in to me, you know, so that'll be good. That's my anticipation.
Yeah. It's so funny. Whenever we go through them, I'm like, oh, I hope it's enough stuff. I hope it's enough stuff to like really, get the needle moving and, make it happen. And then when I start to say it all at once, I'm like, oh man, I hope people don't feel overwhelmed,
Well, again, you can't do everything all the time, right? We've said it over and over again. I want to make sure that everybody's really clear about that. Nobody's expecting you to do every single technique every day. I mean, you just go crazy, right? So, it's finding the routines that work best for you and, adding the new things in, giving them a good try. Don't modify them too much in the beginning, right? You want to try to do them first and see how that pans out, and then start to modify a little bit. Like, again, with the how much time do I stay awake when I do the wake back to bed? Some people could do it really quickly. I mean, and for other people, you just need that little bit more time. But expect that you're gonna cut it under sometimes, and you're going to be over sometimes. And so there are going to be ramifications for either one of those things. So you just, you go with that playful attitude, right? That it's adventure. It's not, your life doesn't depend on it yet. Right. So.
What does that mean?
There's no foreshadowing there. Never mind. Erase that part, Dustin. Erase that part.
All right.
Just induce a little more anxiety. That's all.
Yeah, seriously.
Now try to sleep.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thanks guys, and good luck with all the practices. And I'll be checking in soon to let you know how it's going.
Awesome.
All right. Talk to you soon.